For this week's unboxing, we will be taking a look at Revell's Pontiac Firebird, the 1970 model. This one has been brought out by Revell US in the past in a smaller size box, pretty much the exact same kit. Probably had a couple of different options for the wheels, and the decal sheet could have been a bit different, but in the main speaking terms of things, this is pretty much the same thing. So let's have a look at the box, at the contents, and then go over them in a bit more detail further on in the video. As with most of these Revell US American kits, they come with a pretty nicely detailed chassis. In this case, it is fairly bare, as most of the other components still need to be applied on top of it. So the full suspension, the drivetrain, of course the engine is all separate, and that will be shown a bit further on in the video. And in this case, on this sprue, everything is molded in white, same with pretty much all the other sprues. And you have the seats on here as well. Not a huge fan of these seats. They have pretty nice detail on them. You can even see a little bit of the piping, and all of the panel lines, let's just call them, are very crisp. And the detail is done to a fairly high standard. Same goes with the seat backs, but I just simply don't really like the look of them, so I will most likely be changing them out for something new, probably even heading over to the 3D printer. In order to spruce up that chassis, there are various other components that need to be glued onto it. The front suspension, rear suspension, the exhaust, some pieces for inside of the engine bay. And in this case, all of the parts are separate, so that makes it a bit easier. But for this specific part with the rear leaf springs, the exhaust is mounted to it, the rear axle is mounted to it. So that is a bit of a letdown, as the springs and the axle might need to be painted in a silver or in a black, and the exhaust will most likely be silver, so maybe we need to make some custom parts for that, but we will figure that out alongside during the build. Now, even though the chassis itself isn't really all that detailed and complicated, the engine bay, however, is pretty detailed. There is a full engine molded in two halves. You can see the transmission, the main engine block, oil pan, and all the front accessories. Some of them are separate, as you can see here, and of course these ones too. And the distributor is a separate piece as well, so you can easily just drill this out and add some wiring to it. There is a nice fan and of course various other bits for the interior to move onto, like the dashboard. Fully detailed, all the gauges and including the radio, some other small details are on there, and as you can see, the gauges even have some molded in detail as well. The main interior tub is molded in one big piece, so the rear seats, the door panels, or door cards, and center console are already in here. Makes it a little bit harder to paint and detail everything, but then again, at least everything is there and the details are nice and crisp. There are two separate sprues as well for some of the chrome plated parts. In this case, at the beginning of the video, I mentioned that during some of the releases of the US kit, there were some options for additional wheels, and they are even included in this kit as well. Now, I absolutely do not like how they look, but with an additional lip or something, they might be cool, but for me, this is an absolute no-go. So these are going in the trash. And then, of course, there is the second sprue as well. This has the rear bumper, the front grille, headlight housings, some additional parts for inside the engine bay to spruce that up a little bit. All chrome plated, some additional parts here and there for the interior, and then some Krager style wheels. Now, I really like this design of wheels, so I'm pretty tempted to use these. However, they are a bit small, so maybe again, just like for the interior, I'm going to head over to the 3D printer to add some custom wheels that are just a bit bigger and go for a bit of a pro touring style look. As far as clear parts go, there isn't really all that much to show. There are some clear red parts for the taillights. They have some detail on the outside and also some on the inside. So that is really nice, specifically that they are already molded in red so you don't have to paint them. Then the main clear parts themselves are nice and clear, nothing special there. Front and rear glass, and also the ones for the headlights with a bit of additional detail scribed in there already. So since there are two different styles of wheel sets in two different sizes, there are also two sets of tires included. This one is for the sort of aftermarket set. It is a bit wider of a tire with a thinner sidewall, has a pretty nice thread pattern in there as well, and nothing special on the sidewall. And then there are the tires for the stock wheels too. Again, some nice thread pattern here. And also on the sidewall, they also have the Firestone printed on there already, so you don't have to mess around with decals yourself. So if you're going to go for the stock setup, this is a really cool thing that they've already added it. And of course, if you don't want it, you can just simply turn them around and have the clean side. For the exterior, there is pretty much just one additional sprue. It has the front nose piece in there, a nice rear spoiler, and the hood. The hood is also detailed on the inside with all of the structural pieces, some of the heat shielding, and just in general looking pretty good. And the main piece, of course, is the exterior, the body. This one is mostly molded in one piece. It is missing the front piece here, which I've just shown, and the rear piece, which is in one of the bigger sprues, and the engine bay is already fully molded in here. It has a lot of molded in details, so simply with a bit of painting and a steady hand, this can look pretty amazing, but it does require a bit of extra work. All of the panel lines are pretty nice. They could be a little bit deeper. The width is already pretty good, so no adjustment there. Some mold lines here and there, but nothing special. And this one on the rear definitely needs a little bit of work, but is easily fixed. With this being the release from Revell Germany, that means that it comes with a new decal sheet. This decal sheet, in my opinion, is pretty much always better than the one in the standard Revell US kit. The quality of the decals is better, and there are many more decals on here. So for instance, you get two options for the stripes to go with a blue one and a white body, or with a blue body and a white stripe. Some additional decals for the seat belts. Some more stripe options here and there, even some decals for on the tires, even though they are already on the tires. For the wheels as well, to go with a two-tone, some speakers, and various other detail bits for on the interior and exterior to finish it all off.